Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. Another truly thankful Thursday as we invite you to share with us as we learn more about the STEPS survey for 2023. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to once again welcome our CMO to the studio. I know it almost feels with the greatest respect, given all that we see on the television. My friend says the telly. I can't do it as she does. With the U.S. presidential campaign and the things happening with their former president, it almost feels like that you are on a campaign trail. You're out and about encouraging participation. So, in a sense, a campaign.
Yeah. Public health is. I mean, we act through people. We don't do things to people. Well, I occasionally get a needle and syringe out and go and give some vaccines or take some bloods or something. But no, the whole point of public health is getting people invested in their own health, getting them invested in their own future, and encouraging them to do the things that are going to protect them.
If I might, as we invite Ms. Rachel in a second to the discussion, I'm glad you shared that, because for those of us who do analysis, whether it's the CFO and looking at the financial statements in order to make some projections, not just for the budget, but hey, how is this company to perform? What are the dividends going to be like? What are some of the other things we can do? Statistical data that is timely and accurate is crucial, right? But that's,
Absolutely. We can't just go out and guess. These things are too important. We're talking about wanting to know the state of health of those of us who have the privilege of living in Cayman for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And we want people to have an extended life, and we want to have them to have that quality of life. And that involves, people investing. It involves financial investment. And I say the days of just doing medicine by opinion and, this is what I was taught and this is what my expectations are, they've gone. These days, people expect us to be sharp, know what the health status is, know what's going to make the difference, be able to produce evidence for that. And that's right.
Yeah. And I guess we can even see an increasing importance, just looking at the media and the UK's perspective. They've not just changed the name of the entity, its composition, but the Health Security Agency. Those two last words.
Yes, my old bosses. Yes, I used to work for them. But it is very much about securing people's future, and it was an interesting move to call it that,
especially in this time in our human history.
Absolutely, it's. Things are changing. We've got so many opportunities available to us now that we didn't used to have, but we also have far more threats to our health.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful not just for the candidness, but for us to increasingly look and understand how we are impacted, but how we also can impact certain things.
Absolutely.
Information is key. This education is not just equalizing and empowering, but it is something that should encourage us to be able to have meaningful public discourse.
Yeah.
In the Cayman context, just recent amendments to bits of our legislation, including public health and mental health, gives the increase in importance, but the authority, if I might use it, that a government can have relative to its people, what they are allowed to do and when and how.
Yeah, I mean that old kind of paternalistic kind of attitude, which is we're going to tell you what's good for you and you don't need to know. That's long gone, and it's long gone for two reasons. One is people are remembering that government is for the people, and the other is effectiveness. If people don't know why they should do something, or what or informed about why a thing will help them, they don't follow the advice as well. Whereas if people understand the advice and they understand why we're giving the advice and they know that we're concerned, that we're doing things because and we're making suggestions because we know that we've studied the evidence, then they're much more likely to follow that and invest in themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting that you reference it and you use the word paternalistic. Many of us as parents, we say to the child, because I said so. Right? So that those days where the government just can tell, they now need to be, what are our words, accountable, transparent, responsible. But is it such that the government can, because it has data, and says, listen, this is what we're going to, my word, impose, we're going to require of you, the populace, to do this, not do this, do it in this way.
I think the modern governments and the kind of way that I get the sense that ministers and parliamentarians want to operate here is that they want to restrict things that they have to, and so, for example, things which are real threats. Tobacco is a very, very good example. But otherwise, they want people to be persuaded of doing the right things. They want that investment, and they understand that has the long-term benefit. Because if a parent suddenly catches on and says, hey, we've not been living as a family with the best of lifestyle, I've got to change things for myself. And I change things for myself because my children will see me doing that, not just do it because I said so, although my children might recognise that form of parenting.
Hey, any parent can say, because I told you so.
Yeah, Miss Rachel's still got this pleasure to come yet, but then suddenly the children are following, the whole family is changing its ways. Other families are changing, and people are coming together, and they know that although the simple thing is to say, go out, do this, that's what matters, you must do it now. But the long-term institutionalisation of that, the long-term turning a whole society around and it becoming normal to be fit and healthy and have a long lifestyle and be free from the non-communicable diseases that we're looking at, free from diabetes, free from heart disease, free from respiratory diseases. That's a long-term investment, and it's a generational investment. But it starts with knowing where we are now, holding that mirror up and saying, hey, Cayman, this is us. Right.
Well, and this is where I think these discussions shouldn't just be academic. They should help inform but allow us to freely come to sensible decisions.
Yes.
The adage, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I still struggle with that. I think I understand what it means, but I know in me, it's a challenge, right? Why we expend all this time and energy and effort to get the horse to the water's edge, only to look at itself and the reflection and then die of thirst, right? But with that being said, if our government collects the data, it publishes the analysis, it shares, hey, this is what it is. To what extent then can the government then, in a democracy, not a dictatorship, not in those sort of other regimes, say, listen, we're going to require you, the government has the ability to pass legislation. We are seeing increased under the guise of public health, the abilities to not just significant and require people, but impose restrictions, demand and mandate certain things. Are we tethering on what was democracy and becoming something else?
In some parts of the world that might be true. In Cayman,
No, just generally speaking, yes, sir.
Yeah, in some parts of the world there is very much what I think the headline writers like to call the nanny state. But in Cayman, I've got a lot more faith. I see a regime where people are saying no to some things which are overtly harmful, but otherwise let's enable people to, let them see what the data is, let them see themselves, let them see their communities, let them look at the future of their own children and families and say, what do we want? And a government and a public, and there's so much more to government. It's not just, there are so many well-meaning and well-delivering entities in society around Cayman, and they're there about enabling people who said, yeah, I want my life to be different.
And as CMO, I really appreciate not just I didn't say just to be jovial, the public campaign, to get people to appreciate it. We know public health over the years, they've been consistent in trying to get people to understand certain things, and that's been that way from day one.
Yes.
But Cayman is unique. We are a British possession. The UK has ultimate, oversight.
Sure, but the UK is not going to be delivering a public health program here. That's public health programs. They might have some visible entities like chief medical officer wanting to champion them, colleagues in what is a very, very small department of public health, putting out as much public service information as they can and so on. But it will be up to the people of Cayman to decide their own future direction when it comes to personal health.
All right, let's quickly pause, and when we return, Ms. Rachel, if it's okay, we start with you. We'll ask, just to remind people, what is the SEP survey? And hopefully this little discussion would get us interested in not just trusting but verifying, understanding the importance of participation and the ownership that we can take, and if it's not improper, to be able to question and hold accountable if we live in a democracy.
Yes.
All right. Those are the things. And then at 5 o'clock, please join me. No, just kidding. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt at valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening.
For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DAH website at www.gov.ky/DAH.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Well, we have the excellent company of the CMO, and we both agreed during the break that lunch will be not as good. Well, Miss Rachel, thank you very much for adding, your excellent presence to our discussion as we talk about the STEPS survey. It's a national health survey. It's conducted sometime in the past. But what is it? Because I thought maybe it's, we had a STEPS challenge one time and 10,000 steps every day. But I take it this is not what that is, right? Okay, it's a little bit different.
Similar vein in some ways. So the STEPS survey is for us to be able to understand the health status here in Cayman, particularly thinking about conditions that affect people's lives a lot for a very long time typically. So we're talking about non-communicable diseases here, so things like hypertension or diabetes. They can take a while to develop, and they can be things which, if they're not helpfully treated, can have a big impact on someone's quality of life and what they're able to do and their everyday activities. So these are things that we really want to have a very good handle on, understanding how much they're affecting our population, who particularly maybe they're affecting, and so we can see where we're at now, but also look to the future. So we're also gathering some information on some risk factors for these conditions, and that helps us to understand in the future who's most likely to be developing these in years to come. So it's for us to take a snapshot for now, but also to help us planning ahead. And as you mentioned, it's a survey that we did in 2012, so we've got a baseline that we can compare to. So it also enables us, because it's done in a very standardized way, to compare to 2012 and see what's changed in the last decade in these parameters.
I think we put 2 months into the survey. Just confirm with us.
Yeah.
And how is it going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well, which is great to be able to say. The team have been doing an excellent job. It's a tough time of year to do a survey in the heat with a lot of people off island, so they've been managing really well with those different factors. So we've got a team of enumerators who are approaching people's households and looking to do the questionnaire and the physical measurements, and then we've also got a team of nurses. And yeah, it's been going really well. We've had a really good uptake to that first part, so with the questionnaire and in-home measurements, steps 1 and 2 as we refer to them. We've had a slightly lower uptake of the final part, step 3, with the nurses when they do a finger prick blood measurement looking at blood glucose and cholesterol. So we've had probably about a third of people that have done the first 2 parts have come through to do the last part, so we're really looking to try and increase that uptake a bit for the last part.
All right, and then you had shared that you were looking for 3,300 individuals that were just randomly selected.
Yeah, that's who we approach in the first instance. We know that not everyone will want to take part, and that's fine, so we're not expecting all of those to be successful results, but we're doing well so far and hoping to get a good, and we've got just about now we're at a good point where the data we've gathered for step 1 and 2 is large enough sample to be nationally representative for Cayman, which is great. And
I'll leave it to you, and sometimes those of us who look at numbers, not just, I'll joke and say just not what sells on Sundays, but the police officers go, really? You're talking about that again? It's important to have a population, a certain sample size.
Exactly.
How do we arrive at 3,300, not 3,400, not 10,000, not 30 people?
Yeah, so there's a few different bits of information that we put into a calculation to come out of that number. So for example, one of those is the level of certainty that we want to have in our estimates. So normally when you have a population estimate, you'll be looking to have what's called 95% kind of confidence intervals that go with that. So that's kind of your level of certainty. So that's one parameter that goes in. Another parameter that goes in is the prevalence of what you're looking to find. So we look back at the results from the survey before and chose one of our main prevalences that we're looking to go on and put that in. And so, I can't remember the exact one that we went on now off the top of my head, but it was at 50% prevalence. We're looking to find that in the population. So that's one of the elements that goes in. Another is the response rate. As we said, we know not everyone will take part. So you put in a response rate, say, of 60 or 70%, and then by adding that into the calculation, it'll put an additional proportion of people on top of that you need to approach that won't actually come through as a true result at the end.
And this is maybe to get us as a people to appreciate it. So for the edification, we started out with 3 steps, 3,300 people. Step 1 was, here's the survey, please complete it. How many of the 3,300 completed that first step? Do you know offhand?
Yes, we're just over now 1,500 people that have done that first part.
As you shared.
Yeah.
Okay.
And about 90% of those have done step 2 as well. So the in-home measurements, people's height, people's weight. So some people choose not to do that part, so they'll do the questionnaire and they won't do that. But most of them then come through.
So we had a third about the original 3,300, just under a third of that. And then now in step 3.
Yeah.
How many people have completed that so far?
So we've had over 500 people do that.
As you said earlier.
Exactly,
okay.
Yeah. But we're looking to try and get that number up to 1,000. We'd really love to have some really robust data there to be able to look at those measures and know that they reflect the whole of Cayman.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the metrics in my head, so as I appreciate you sharing, and everybody is walking. I know everyone is at home. Math, okay, good. Let's pay attention. It's math time. What happens if? Well, no. Let me rephrase that. You have 500. You're hoping to get it to 1,000.
Yeah.
If you don't, what happens?
Yeah, good question. Whatever we gather, we will use. So none of this will go to waste. This is a really well put together survey. Everything's been validated, been used around the world. So everything that we gather will be useful. With a sample, when you're looking to understand the population as a whole, if you don't manage to hit a certain threshold, you can still analyse the data and it reflects the individuals that you surveyed, but it won't necessarily be enough to represent all of Cayman, have a national estimate. So we'll still analyse it and use it, but just the interpretation of it will be slightly different depending on how many we get come through.
As we're talking, and I was thinking about a discussion, I was just, to make it easier, looking at a population of 100,000. No, the census data was inaccurate as it was said when we published it, so we'll revise that at some point. We're down to 3,300, which is a very small percentage of the population. If you are 500, you're less than 20% of your initial sample size. Statistically, some would say, well, how is that significant? But any data is better than no data.
Exactly.
Okay. Once you have that, irrespective of the numbers, maybe you'll get up with 3,000 people. Maybe you'll only have what you have. How will you use that? How beneficial will that be? How would I help to inform the policies and the like?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hugely valuable information. As we said, we've not had this in 10 years. So what we're currently working on is very out of date. But some of the things, just to take some examples of what might be helpful, is us understanding how we can better provide services and better make contact with individuals that need care. So something we always look for is kind of a hidden burden of disease. So because we have the questionnaire and then we also have objective measurements of people's health, we can compare the two. So for example, if someone isn't aware of having raised blood sugar, but when we take that measure, that's the result that we get back, you can then see there's likely either they might be on their way to developing or maybe have developed diabetes, and that's a hidden illness that they're probably not currently receiving care for. And we can then look to target our interventions and our programs to say, okay, well, we think there's a burden of this proportion of the population who are at risk or are developing diabetes that aren't necessarily aware. How can we best reach them? How can we best change our programs to ensure that we capture them and make sure they get the healthcare they need?
Okay. Well, again, and I love when people are willing to teach so that we can learn, and we may not have all taken statistics nor paid attention. It may have been a crash course. It might have been so long ago, right? And the teacher might not have been as nice as mine. But anyway, with that in mind, given this is a random sample, and hopefully, if I understand it correctly, we're hoping to extrapolate from this how this is representative of the wider population. What sort of metrics went into sampling so that we ended up with people who, given that this is not a homogenous society, and we got different ages, and we got different people from different ethnicities and different lifestyles and different things, the information that you would get back of this particular profile, how is that going to translate into, the wider community? I mean,
so the survey, we focus just on residents. So that's straight out, that takes tourists out of the picture. And then from that, the The sample size we've put together means we can break down our estimates by males and females and by 2 main age categories. So already you're starting to then look a little bit more in depth to see who it's affecting. We will be describing the sample as a whole of who responds, and you can then take that information and compare it to your census and say, this is who we had come through. This is how maybe that change is different. The balance of that is different to our balance of the population as a whole, and then you can weight your data so that it actually reflects, maybe we didn't get as many older females than there are in the population, so you can weight your results so that it reflects the actual likely burden in the population as a whole. So
as much as we want it to be scientific, there'll be some sort of subjective analysis given the extrapolation.
I mean, these are all estimates, right, for a population. So we've not gone out and asked every single individual.
Right, unlike our census.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there is always a degree of uncertainty, partly what we were talking about earlier, our confidence intervals. There's always a degree, and there's always a window of, this is where our estimate sits, but we think it's between this range and this range. So that then gives you a slightly broader window to be focused on.
So given a confidence interval of 95% and the response date, what's the likelihood that we can even get there to be able to assign a level of credibility to the analysis?
What's the
Dr. Jen?
The answer is yes. There will always be a degree of error. The thing is that degree of error is calculable. So we know that the true result will lie within a range. Now, we know that range will be small enough across the whole population for the steps 1 and 2 data. We know that it is likely to be small enough to show changes from the last census by age and sex. Okay. So we know that's good for steps 1 and 2, but please don't, if somebody comes and knocks on your door and says, can you do steps 1, 2, don't go back saying, we heard the CMO, he's saying he's got enough data. It doesn't, because the more people we get in, the narrower that window of uncertainty becomes, and the more sure we can be about the data that we're acting upon. It's the step 3 data that may be a little bit more uncertainty. We've probably got enough information to be able to say the whole of Cayman, but when we've got markers that we're collecting for heart disease and diabetes, we really, really do want to be able to say, is there a difference between men and women, and whether or not we're starting to get problems in the younger age groups, not just the older age groups. So it's really critical, and if people have done step 1 and 2 but have not done step 3 so far, not too late. You can give us a call, and we can still book a nurse to come to your home to come and take that little finger prick test. It's not a big performance. It's a couple of minutes, and it really doesn't hurt very much. All right,
let's revisit that when we return from this break. Hey, who knows? If you listen, we may learn. Stay tuned. We'll talk today.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you. Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue new policies or increases when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call the insurance professionals at Cayman Insurance Center 949-4657 or email info@cic.com.ky. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Cayman Insurance Center's insurance professionals today at 949-4657. All aboard the Pizza Boat! Cayman's newest pizzeria. Birthday parties, office luncheons, summer camps, game night. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat. A Cayman twist to pizza. Bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Hello, Cayman. If you have been chosen for the STEPS National Health Survey, thank you so much. But we still need your help. 1,000 more people need to participate in Step 3, the final step of the survey, to ensure that our data reflects the whole population of Cayman. We cannot do this without you. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969 or email mhwsteps@gov.ky.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And during the break, the CMO and myself voted me say, man, isn't it great that Miss Rachel joins us? She brings not just a wonderful presence, but some insight. So, Miss Rachel, you've got the go star today.
You've made my Thursday.
Thank you. I know that much is happening around the world, and as jovial as I am, I'm very grateful for life, and I recognize the importance of being earnest, being serious, and whatever we undertake. And I'm hoping that as a people we start to trust but verify, and not become, sadly, increasingly apathetic, not just in Cayman, but globally. As we close to the discussion, though, we were talking about the third step. I like the way you phrased it, the finger prick. We're taking some blood. And for those of us who've done that, could I just ask, again, just from my personal benefit, when we draw the blood, those of us who do it for different reasons know it's almost painless. So we want to confirm, what is that finger prick like, and what are we getting from the blood, how much we're going to be taking, and what are we looking for? I mean, are you going to be able to tell me whether I'm expecting or not? I mean, what are you telling me?
It's something called point-of-care testing system. So it's a system where the answers are generated there and then. It's a tiny little stilet. It's one of those that's used by diabetics all the time.
Okay.
So it literally a couple of drops of blood appear on the skin surface, and the nurse uses a very, very thin little glass tube to just catch those and put those 2-3 drops of blood onto the machines that they're carrying with them. One measures the blood sugar, another measures the cholesterol level, and people can have those results there and then. It's for their use as well as our use.
Okay. Any other, again, I may use the wrong word, but medical information. You said blood sugar and cholesterol.
Yeah.
Anything else from those little blood droplets, the heart disease, the heart enzyme, anything else?
No, we just do those two things. and they tell us they're telling us two things. One is what is the hidden burden of diabetes and the likely future burden of diabetes, which we can correlate back with the step 1-2 data about whether or not people are overweight and what their diet and exercise looks back, so we can build up a profile of who's getting into problems in Cayman and why are they getting into problems. So that tells us what we can do about it. But the other blood test we do, which is the cholesterol test, that's probably the simplest biochemical marker of whether or not you're likely to get heart disease. And so that gives us information about planning the future needs service, but also tells us about how big an impact we need to make with changes in lifestyle, particularly about diet lifestyle. So this is telling us, hidden burden and future disease risk.
Okay. So we're not looking for troponin, we're not looking for the calcium score.
No.
And they, again, you tell me the terminology, but whether your blood clots easily and all those things, none.
No, and a lot of those are much more transient. I mean, things like troponins only react when you've actually got an acute heart problem, where you've got acute loss of blood to the heart muscle. Calcium, you need to do a very particular kind of blood test to be able to get that. So we're looking at things which are robust and they're going to tell us some things about the individual, but are really telling us everything about the population risk.
Okay. Well, those who are familiar with doing a blood test for blood sugar, maybe you're diabetic, it's, as you shared, very similar to that, as convenient and simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, I must have done these kind of blood tests on myself. I've forgotten how many times when I wanted some blood in the lab to test as a standard. We always go and grab our own, and I can tell you it really is tiny little bit of discomfort, hardly anything.
Okay, and we had initially in our discussions, we're expecting that this will be completed by the end of July. But I had good news, you extended it.
Exactly,
and there's chocolate for those who participate. No?
Not just yet.
No, I'm afraid we've got to be consistent with our principles. You don't get polio vaccine on a sugar lump anymore, or you don't get chocolate for participating in a health survey.
Oh man, I tried, people, I tried.
Yeah, it's quite typical for countries to spend 3 months, sometimes a lot longer, running steps. We wanted to set out with the initial 2-month window and see how we go and see what things we need to adjust, and then we're just extending it for 1 month further to try and, as we've said, get as much uptake as we can, make the most of this opportunity. We won't be doing this in the field again for another 10 years, so we want to make the most and try and gather as much information as we can.
We recognise that its census usually is every 10 years, and from the first one, the second one, and things intervene, maybe wars or natural disasters. So the rumours of wars,
yes,
and that may delayed by a year or two. We had something similar in our own country.
Yeah.
Is it normal that there's steps surveys? I mean, that is every decade? I mean,
it has been, because there's a calculation you've got to make here, in that you need a sufficient interval to be able to see that there's been change, and you've also got to bear in mind the cost of what you're doing and be able to justify the cost of that. And also bear in mind that a lot of the programs that we're likely to be discussing and debating that we might need in Cayman to look after us all are programs that take many years to implement, develop and produce change. Because we're not talking about the short term here. We're not talking about, I've got an illness, go to the doctor, get an injection. This is about investment in wholesale change in lifestyle and about long-term healthcare management programs. These are the things that's going to be affected by the STEP survey. So it might be that 5 years time we might be saying, hey, we think actually this is a good point that we need to pick things up again, because we're starting to suspect things are different, and we maybe need to get more evidence. But generally speaking, The past experience has been every 10 years is about the sweet spot.
So those potential future programs, what are some of them?
I think we could look at many of these, but the one I suspect that we're going to have to look at very hard and do something about probably most urgently is going to be around about diabetes. There's a lot of markers from other things that we're seeing from some of the not representative statistics, but there's still ones that we look at and think, that gives me cause to worry. And we look at things like the number of people who are on renal dialysis, the number of people who are having problems with peripheral vascular disease from poor circulation caused by diabetes, the number of people presenting with late stage eye disease. These things, they look, they don't look right. So I'm suspecting diabetes is probably going to come out of there. So then we're going to be looking at the precursors of diabetes, and that's going to be things like diet, the proportion of people that are overweight, particularly, especially at the younger age groups, and what we're going to need to do to influence people so that they start to eat a more healthy diet, cut down this is going to really upset listeners, but cut down the size of food portions, for instance, cut out things like the chocolate. I'm really sorry. Everybody's turning the radio off at this point.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with you?
But also, we should be maybe looking at how we are doing diagnosis of diabetes so that we're detecting it early, and we maybe should be looking also at what programs we have of monitoring people with diabetes, so that, for instance, a common history maybe in Cayman that somebody's recognised that they've got type 2 diabetes, so that's the older onset diabetes in maybe their 20s or 30s, and they get given some tablets to help to control the blood sugar, and they just get the prescription refilled and refilled, and 10, 15, 20 years down the line, they suddenly get a severe complication of diabetes. And with diabetes, you don't usually get one complication. They usually come in 3s and 4s. And it's too late to really, really improve things. So maybe instead of just getting that repeat prescription, the prescription includes having the legs checked for the pulses and good nerves, about having the renal function checked, about making sure that the hemoglobin A1C, which is the best marker of control of diabetes, is really down, about having regular checks of the eyes, because if people start to grow those blood vessels in the back of the eyes that can cause diabetic eye disease and diabetic blindness, they can be managed with a little bit of laser therapy. But if it's too late, these are things you manage early. So maybe we need a program that looks at lifestyle, that looks at monitoring, that looks at maintaining the best diabetic control. People, there are studies that looked at type 2 diabetes in people who've got type 2 diabetes because they're very significantly overweight, and shown that you can completely reverse that and put people back to a normal blood sugar if they get their weight significantly down. But having all of these things, involving people and making sure that it's either, that it becomes a disease you live with, not a disease that you expect to cause you serious harm and to shorten your life.
So quality of life, a healthy, active lifestyle, diet, nutrition.
Absolutely.
As we close out, I was thinking, and you just shared, makes me even more inclined to ask. We look at prescriptions, dispensation of, say, metformin and other things, the incidents that could come into your analysis to say how is that across the board and the like.
Yep. One of the things I'm keeping pushing at people is that we have a very medicalised attitude to health.
Yeah.
There's a tablet, there's an injection, there's an operation. Very, very rarely for diseases, the non-communicable diseases, is that the true answer. Usually the best solution is early intervention, societal interventions, personal health issues, those are the things which can produce the most effect. Anything else, that prescription, that's helping cope with, but it's not the answer.
Sadly, we say there's an app for that. No, there isn't. Lifestyle modification. Thank you both for sharing with us. Certainly, invite you as you wish, closer to time, by the phone call or in person. But thanks very much. May this Thursday be very productive. May all be saying do be truthful and beneficial. All right.
Thank you.
All right, let's pause. Let's see Sue's smile. Hey, Sue, there's a smile. All right, join us after the break.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
Gillian Crooks is back in action at Trinbago 2023, featuring more than 1,000 athletes between the ages of 14 to 18 participating in 7 sports. Gillian will compete in swimming Sunday through Wednesday next week at the National Aquatic Center. She just wrapped up competition at the World Aquatics Championships in Japan. In international headlines, more than 1,400 of Freddie Mercury's personal items, including stage costumes, handwritten drafts of Bohemian Rhapsody, and the piano he used to compose Queen's greatest hits, will be on view in a free exhibition at Sotheby's London ahead of their sale. The collection of the singer's personal belongings had been left to Mercury's close friend Mary Austin and had remained undisturbed in his West London mansion for 30 years since his death in 1991. 72-year-old Austin said in a BBC interview in April that she has decided to sell almost all the items to close this very special chapter in her life and, quote, put my affairs in order. An 87-year-old Maine woman fights off a young intruder in her home and then gave him peanut butter, crackers, and other snacks. Marjorie Perkins says she woke up at 2 a.m. to find a young man standing over her bed. He took off his shirt and pants and said he was going to cut her. She put on her shoes and fought back, eventually putting a chair between them. While he did manage to strike her on the cheek and forehead, he did give up and headed for the kitchen, saying he was hungry. She gave him the snacks, he took off, and then she called 911 on her rotary phone. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
I'm Kenneth Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Ports, and I need your help to keep our beautiful islands clean. Littering is unsightly and negatively impacts our tourism industry, which is crucial to our economy. Keeping our islands clean is everyone's responsibility, so let's all work together to keep the Cayman Islands beautiful for generations to come.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Although very similar to their Grand Cayman counterparts, organized religion in the Sister Islands was spearheaded by the work of Baptist ministers as opposed to Presbyterian missionaries who started the churches nearly 40 years after that in Grand Cayman. In May of 1885, Reverend J.H. Sobey, minister of the Second Baptist Church of Montego Bay, visited Cayman Brac at the invitation of the Brac seamen. During his visit, Reverend Sobey held the first service in a large house, and it was so overcrowded that the following day a tent had to be erected to have the service. In 1886, Reverend Sobey returned to Cayman Brac with Secretary of the Jamaica Baptist Missionary Society, Reverend E.J. Hewitt, in order to introduce Reverend H.W. Rutty as the Brac missionary worker. Congregations started at various settlements with the construction of 2 chapels in Stake Bay and the Creek. The progress would continue continue, and 6 months later, Reverend Rutty was ordained as a permanent missionary, and more congregations were formed in West End, Sport Bay on the east end of the island, and South Harbour in Little Cayman. Reverend Rutty's son and grandson would go on to become Cayman Brack's Collector and Chief Justice of the Peace.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And just, quickly, 10-15 minutes or thereabouts, a chance to talk and share about International Youth Day. Mr. Calvin Duncan joins us. Welcome. Thanks again for coming to mine. As usual, you look great. How's everything?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for having us on today.
It is a pleasure. And your colleague, he set the stage quite easily and nicely last time. And now you continue. Our youth sometimes. I reflect on a caller yesterday on a different topic that sort of should ask us, are we listening to our youth? Are we giving them a chance to share? And then when they do, are we listening? What is on their hearts? What are their concerns? Not just the stress and the pressures and the like, but the things that are important to them. So if we can dedicate time and give them a space, well, ought to be good. So what is International Youth Day? Tell us about it. Is there a theme? What are you doing? Yeah, I just want to listen to you and be as informed as possible, Mr. Duncan.
Sure. Well, International Youth Day was developed back in 1999 by the General Assembly. The whole purpose of the International Youth Day is to bring attention to issues revolving around the youth, bringing that attention to the international community, as well as to celebrate the potential of them being partners in today's global society. So the theme for International Youth Day is Green Skills for the Youth Towards a Sustainable World.
Green skills.
Yes,
all right. And I know that we're doing activities, and I recognize that, from what was shared the last time, it falls on the same day every year. This time happens to be, a non-weekday.
Yes.
So you've made concessions and adjustments to, well, when are you going to celebrate it, and what are you going to be doing?
Yes, the day is actually supposed to be on the 12th. That's when it is every year, the 12th of August. However, we will be celebrating it on the 8th, as, like you said, it falls on a weekend this year, which what will be taking place is we'll be bringing over some youngsters from Grand Cayman over to the BRAC. It'll be about 25 youth that will come over with us. And then we'll be participating in various activities revolving all around the theme, starting with a tour of Dart's Farm, the attraction Le Soleil d'Or. Hopefully I've pronounced that
I was going to say, I hope you said it, man. It's a nice place up on the bluff.
Yes.
It's beautiful, actually. Whatever people may think, it's a beautiful setting. If you haven't been, you should go.
I'll actually be accompanying them, so that'll be my first time experiencing it as well.
Susan, can you arrange for us to go? Okay, she set it up. We're going to go. It is a beautiful.
Yeah.
So you take some youth over.
Yeah.
All right.
They'll participate in the tour, talk a little bit about green technology, because as you know, our dependence on fossil fuels is kind of what's contributing to global warming. So we want to promote a little bit more of green technology, which Dart Farm will help us with that. We'll also have a presentation from Miss Mayer, which is a psychologist from HSA, as well as participate in trivia, give the youths an opportunity to win some prizes, as well as I believe we'll also engage in a tour of a historical home over on the BRAC as well, which should be very interesting.
Being able to live in the same country, but sometimes travel. In this case, I guess it's an overseas flight. We're going to go over the water, land in the BRAC. Give our people a perspective and understand the importance of the integration. But as you're talking about the farming and sustainability, the importance of water to farming, and as they've shared from the farm there, how much water they utilize daily. Maybe you should give us a healthy appreciation of its importance to life and sustainability.
Exactly.
So you just go for the day to the BRAC, and then what?
Yes, just for the day. We'll be there from about roughly 8 to about 6:10 p.m. Yeah, it should be very interesting. At the conclusion of the event, we'll also be providing the youth with some pots and seeds and soil, so that way they can also begin growing their own plants themselves. The whole key is for them to be self-sustainable, be able to grow things on their own, so that way they can help the community as well.
And who knows, it may not just nurture life, it may not just inspire a particular career path, it may harness in them a greater appreciation for food security, sourcing of food. And just as a casual observer, we'll be amazed at how easy and quickly our young people take up these skills and their appreciation. I've watched many just from the classroom or from the encouragement from home, a couple of small pots, a few seeds, and they put the tomatoes in and they grow, and it's not unlike having a pet that you look after. It's not unlike this latest little gizmo that you have that you take an interest. That can harness in that child a great insight and interest.
Exactly. And I'm sure they'll receive a great appreciation for harvesting those fruits after putting so much time into that plant as well.
Yeah. Well, I've always been grateful with our partnership with the Youth Services Unit Past, as they focus on the youth. Youth Services Unit, that's the name in itself is indicative of what they emphasize. So I know they're taking youth not just across Grand Cayman but on the BRAC. So you sharing this now may give us as a public an opportunity for next year to partner. Maybe it's a youth day that becomes a youth week, that becomes a youth month, that becomes every day is youth day all year round for generations. As you close out the discussion, what else do you want to share with us? What do you want to remind us? And we certainly want to extend traveling mercies to all of you as you go and return. And it's not just about education, it's about also enjoying what it is and appreciation for what you're doing. So share with us, sir.
Well, when we do get there, we'll also be including, I want to say, around 30 youth that are already residing in the BRAC as well. So we want to be inclusive as them to participate in the day also. And that's also another thing that I'm appreciative of the Department of Children and Families for, is because we have various events throughout the year, not just this specific event. We also have Child Month, as you know, that caters to the children, and the various other events throughout the year that we try to keep them involved and, like you said, get a feedback from them, so that way we can know what is it that they want to look for and what they want.
And it's commendable. You take the youth from here to interact with the youth over there. We can imagine that the youth on Grand Cayman, even within the same district, may not interact positively all the time, much less one district to the next, and it's a relative small place. So the opportunity for youth on Grand Cayman and the youth from the BRAC to be able to meet, they may know each other already because they're online gaming, but have they physically interacted? This is a partnership that could be very promising.
Exactly. I agree. I agree fully.
Honored that you would allow us the opportunity to provide the venue for you to share, this particular endeavor. And as we said to your colleague, Ms. Hunter, when he was here last, when you return, where's a phone call? Give us a, sort of like a recap, an update. Hey, what happened? These were the highlights. Maybe these are some of the things we're thinking of, hopefully being able to, sort of include in next year's activities. And maybe that will spark more of us to say, well, what can we do? Our youth truly are deserving, and all they want is to be loved, nurtured, to be respected and valued, and given a venue.
Exactly, the future of tomorrow.
Exactly, that are impacted by today. Well, if you have anything else you want to share with us, sir, we know that you are anxiously waiting to get back to work. I am at work. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. But, you have been always were gracious. I commend you and the team at DCFS for focusing on our youth as you always have.
Thank you, sir. I do have some sponsors
yes,
I would
sir.
like to thank.
Yes, sir.
And before I thank them, I would like to, apologize if I do obliterate anyone's names. It's not intentional.
Between the two of us, we'll figure out how to get it right.
So I would like to thank Mr. Dominic Ross from DART, as well as Mr. Alam Badro from the staff of Les Solil Dior.
Yeah.
And Rotary Club of Grand Cayman. Club director, Mr. Edward Harper, as well as Miss Mary Lee Mayer from HSA Hospital. We would like to thank you all for assisting us with this event. Without you, we wouldn't be as successful as I know we will be come Tuesday.
Yeah. All those, will be, I think, very informative. But the gentleman at the farm managed to have his, in attendance and his presentations and his interest and enthusiasm as he goes through the plants and he talks about it. And whether they're in season or not, his knowledge, his genuineness of helping us to be encouraged relative to farming. And if it's there for the tasting or not, you get an appreciation and an expectation. And even an invitation. You know what? Come in October because it's better then, or come in February because it's better. You will have that level of anticipation. And he's been a credit to that organization. I think the young people will feel that level of enthusiasm. So good for you guys, man.
That's awesome. It sounds like you've had a great experience in building the excitement for the trip to come.
Hey, you know what? Next time maybe I could be a tour guide. The back is always a special place. And, the vista from that particular, site overlooking the water, it's majestic, man. I'll be honest with you.
I look forward to it.
It's majestic. You might be on, Mount Zion, but boy, you may think you are. Tell me when you return if you feel that way or not. It's all kinds of pleasure, sir, man. You enjoy yourself.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
It is truly an honor, and to all who partner with our youth, really, really commend them. It's easier than we think, and they're more loving, and they're more concerned about our future than we actually appreciate. Just listen to them. Just ask them. I'll even after the break in your absence maybe share some things that our youth collectively have relayed to me just these last 3 days. And we're not even good into this 8th month. But maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Who knows what I'll do? Okay. Who knows? Now that I had my chocolate. All right, it's going to be open line for the remainder of our program. So please, as we pause quickly, join us after.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe traffic con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
The Business Buzz. Each and every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. Brought to you by
Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services.
And Total Health in Grand Pavilion. Change the way you manage your family's health. Visit www.totalhealth.ky or call 333-2222.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And if I look at the clock, and if it's any semblance of accuracy, that means that we've got over an hour. Let's enjoy every second of this open line segment. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Mr. Candyman.
That sounds like a Sammy Davis Jr. song, man.
I didn't know how to sing it. I know how to eat it when I'm allowed to.
Well, that's kind of what Mr. Henry Bush used to say. Breadfruit, we don't spell them, we eat them.
Eat them, yeah, exactly. It's just like the road.
Yep.
People asked why the road's so curvy. You know, it came too long, so you had to bend them.
All of them, they came to know how to bend them up, huh? Well, it might have been true, you know. Might have been true.
Yeah, might have been true. You never know. We're kind of getting more and more curvy as the days go by here.
Yeah.
True.
I wonder sometimes if we think about it.
It's true. Darling, I was thinking, well, early party yesterday evening and today, this morning, about this concession that we're giving these builders that come in here to the island to invest, to build their hotels and whatever else they may be building on the island. You know, I may not have everything pat down right. That's probably someone can call and correct me. But starting to say that we got so many hotels going on right now, and I'm quite sure that they're all getting concession. We got a lot of buildings going on in the West Bay. We can't hear what they are. They're in the concession section as well too. We got the Flowers Group. Have never heard them getting a concession, and they could be getting and being quiet about it, and we just giving the foreigners hell because they're coming here and building, getting free concession to bring in all their material and their furniture and even the topsoil in the mulch for the garden. Can you imagine? And if you think about that, they're getting all of that here from the government, and it's coming through the port and it goes up to the distributor section up there in that area. And our guys is working on the port daily. They are not having this stuff transferred here. It has to go until it gets into the right hand. Right? Okay. They're just getting their regular pay, like just like anybody else. You know, if all these buildings are being built right now, you know what kind of money those guys would make at that port and that compound up in the industrial area where they take all of the containers. They would be getting a decent salary for once and for all of things in their lives on a daily basis. When it comes to people bringing in material and someone come on the plane with a comforter and it costs them probably $100 and change in Miami, then you got to pay some duties on it. You know what I mean? It is so unfair. So I always ask the question, you know, who are we building for? And if the government is just seeing that, we got to read from these guys by coming into our island on their private jets or using Cayman Airways or all the other airlines that come in here. That's where we're going to gain our money from. To a degree, yes and no. You understand? Because the majority of these places have their own cars that take these high-loaded people that they say that they want to attract on this island here. They want to attract what is I was using there about high-end visitors. Sterling, let me tell you something, sweetheart. All visitors are high-end visitors. $100 the same color. It's the same dollar that they come here with.
Yep. Well, sometimes, it would appear that we might seem to think that some people have a greater value for their $1 than the same dollar, as you said, in a pocketbook of somebody else, right? But to your point, to the concessions, though, as I was listening to you, I was looking at 3 messages that sort of relate very, at least as I read them over again, to what you were sharing. I'll ask the question, you can choose to answer, but it's more just for general discussion for everybody else. One individual said, are concessions available, to sort of the local investor? You referenced one in particular. Maybe, as the second message came in, maybe that we don't know or we don't ask, or if we do, we don't publicize that we've received it, right? And then the third question, I'm trying to see which of the 3 had asked that. Should those concessions now be discontinued?
They should be discontinued because Sterling, every government that comes in is continuous, and none of the locals are benefiting from none of the work on the construction. And even after the hotels are finished, they are bringing in their own workers. If you go to the Indian stores, they got Indian working. You go to the Filipino stores, they got Filipinos working. You go to Jamaican stores, they got Jamaicans working. And I'm talking about little private owner stores that we might call them little small business people. They got their own nationality. Now, you're going to come to my island and you're going to open a business here, but you're going to send back to your country to bring in employment for a job that a Caymanian here or a Caymanian status holder can do. And I blame immigration for that, and I blame the government for that, because they keep saying that jobs to Caymanians, but where are they? I am still getting to go to work with my ID. I can get there and work, but I want my ID in my hand, because I don't want to have no confrontation. None of them are PTUs on the public. You understand where I'm coming from? And I'm not going to walk on the side, no road. That's not me, but to each his own. But to think about it. Go ahead.
Well, this is where not just encourage all of us to, as you have, to respectfully and responsibly share the comments publicly, but I wonder to what extent we're even engaged in it. You just referenced, 3 different stores, 3 different nationalities, and that's 3 of, the 1,000 that we have here. Okay, maybe not 1,000, but if we have that, and it's not just the abilities to get these products from those particular regions. We go into our supermarkets and they even have nice labels to identify that particular aisle that will have these particular products. But on a societal scale, is it that we fostering deliberately, if we're not careful, at least inadvertently, a growing division as opposed to integration? Not to say that we don't like to be able to get, whether it's cheeses from different regions or chocolates sourced from different places, or peculiar and particular and unique and specific food items. There are, even in this region, there are certain spices and seasonings that I, on a personal level, I would prefer if I got it from here or it's only available from there. But in the Cayman context, are we fostering division by doing as you said, and not just in the stores, but perhaps even in our offices? This particular office is heavily staffed by South Africans or Canadians or North Americans from the US in particular, or Europeans. Is that what is happening by default or by design?
very good question, because we, as the people of this island, we have never turned away anyone from our island. We welcome them with open arms. And it has become that it is so wide open that we can't even close our arms back. And it's out of control. And we're not saying that we're not going to need workers here in this island. Don't get me wrong, but the fact of the matter is, look out for your own Caymanians. I said, if they have a problem trying to hold that job, you put them somewhere that they can with skills to go and hold that job. We are not trying hard enough. We got our children in the school. The teachers give them the work, and some kids go there and they learn well, and some other ones just play around and act the fool and whatever the case may be. So that is where the parents got to come in and say, you know something? Son, I'm sending you to school. You got to do better than this. Let me sit down. Let me get you extra tutoring and so forth to bring your grades up and so forth. Our parents will sit on their phones 3-4 hours in the evening when they go home talking to their friends, and their child is there struggling with homework or trying to go to the fridge to make a sandwich to eat. And the first thing the mother is going to say, be quiet, I'm talking, leave me alone. I experienced it. So I'm just saying that division, Sterling, let me tell you something. I'm not even going to say anything about division, because Sterling, the fact of this situation, we are just here, just got that we have to have. We have to have. Sterling, you know that every insurance policy that you take out on your vehicle, you got to pay government X amounts of dollars or that per year. Do you know that? Do you know government get taxes from the insurance company?
Yeah, on our policy, insurance policies, there is a stamp duty. There is some tax that is paid here. Yes.
So you see, when we talk about our medical insurance, and some people can't go to the doctors as much as they would like to because they'll have a one-time use and so forth. That never stopped. And the government was talking about letting their clinical become universal. And you know, if anything else came out that, or that's still on the back shelf catching dust.
You know, as I listen to you, I'm wondering to what extent this community is conscious of maybe what is happening and willing to positively, you know, come together and do something about it. There is much. I mean, we've heard even the former governor lament about the poor driving, the lack of consideration on our roads, and increasingly, it seems that.
Sterling, don't bust your head, sweetheart. Don't bust your head. I know what you're trying to do. Sterling, we've got so many things here needs fixing. And they come out and they say a few words, and they leave it alone on things until something drastic will happen to somebody in the neighborhood, or whatever the case may be. I feel that when these people go inside and run for election, they come out here and they promise us hell and all, they're going to do better than the other government. And then you can hear the other government, they're going to do better than them. That's all you can hear is a trickle-down situation. And they are coming out here practically doing the same thing, just in a different shape and form and different words to treat us as if we do understand ignorance. A lot of people understand ignorance. And I just want to say to my Caymanians today, we got like 2 years left in the election? Like 2 years? Well, if you guys want to go out there and vote next 2 years to put in this government again or any other government, and not going to put your foot down and say, hey, this concession has to stop. What about us? We the people, you want our vote? Cut the concession out. Take care of us. And you know what I do understand, Sterling? No, someone can lose their house through foreclosure, right? And then got to go and turn around and rent a house for $3,000. And then got to pay like bill, water bill, and cable, and then the groceries, and pay the car, no insurance. You want to tell me that if your loan was, let's say your loan was $2,500 a month, and you got to come out and pay $3,000 plus all the month things, you want to tell me that is any being there? That not being there for the person who had the house and lost it. But this tax situation, and we got here, these guys is coming here billing left, right, and center because they don't have to pay no tax where they're coming from. And if they bill up there, they got to pay tax, so they have no yearly tax on the business here. And we, the people, are not gaining. Airlines is bringing them in here. they bring them in here with drugs, and they give them a slap on the wrist. They bring them in here with guns, and they give them a slap on the wrist. If I got there now and get a gun, just stick and go down broadcast it and show it around on Facebook, they'll come and arrest me in my own yard.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe we're not cognizant. Maybe we're not sufficiently responsive, and as much fun as I have sometimes at making little comments about or not just our politicians, but politicians in general. In all seriousness, maybe it's time that we not only engage them more with the intent of holding them accountable, but perhaps that we, as the voters in particular, we become more engaged, informed, involved in what is happening to help set the agenda, stop making excuses and talk about the special interests. Any entity that is lobbying for its own interests is probably, expected to do so. But how are we as a people? And not only ensuring that the politicians are responsible, they're acting responsibly, that they're accountable, that what is being done by a government is known to this populace as much as possible, as soon as possible, and if at all possible, even before the government goes ahead and does the thing. It would appear that there are many of us who have, for want of a better term, an inside track, right? We get a heads up about something, and when it comes out, even though those may know about it, it's only after that we comment about it. We're told to be proactive. Some are not even preemptive. So,
Sterling, my dear, where do we think we need to start to get back to some of where we was? And when I say get back to some of where we was, look out for our own Caymanians. And we got very little of us left. And if we cannot accomplish something now, when are we going to accomplish something? Because only the people dying here in Cayman, just the Caymanians, God forgive us for saying it. But the Caymanians are dying, and I know they can't be that blasted sinful that they're dying left, right, and center. You understand? But, things happen, but the fact of the matter is, when are we going to sit down and say, something? I need to look out for my people, man. This is going on a bit too long now. This is going on too long. The concession is going to stop. We need to stop. And I just want to tell the voters out there, you all want to continue with this concession going on? You all got to live with it. You all need to speak up for your grandchildren and your young children that you got out there and your grandchildren. And forget about you and forget about the other older people. Think about people's children and people's grandchildren. Fight for them. Help us fight for them.
Yeah, man.
So, thank you.
Thank you. As you go, one of our listeners is saying that here in the UK, regarding the stores, the UK has the same issue. They want to hire their own people because they intend to cater to them especially. So it's not just something unique to Cayman, according to this listener. He's experienced it similarly in the UK as well. But thank you for sharing, okay?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks for that caller for listening. It is open line, no? 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. And then you can also use our WhatsApp. You can call it. You can message it. We're going to engage you in it if you do so. 925-3261. A couple of the WhatsApp messages here asking us to look at a couple of things. Let's read them and reread them to make sure we read them correctly. But let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
And to you, my friend. Good afternoon. How's it going?
You're doing good. As I taking my daughter outside,
Oh, man. I pray you guys enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. We definitely going to enjoy it. So, well, why I truly disappointed. And, the lack of courage to talk about certain situations on this island. Like if we see a problem, why we don't speak about it? Is it that we have a fear that if we speak about it, someone's going to come out after us and then scold us for what we said, or probably give a little pinch in the hand, remind us who we're talking for? I don't know what it is, but it definitely not benefiting the Caymanians. It definitely not benefiting the people that working for the Caymanians as well, and working with the Caymanians.
I'm not going to ask why you say that. Let me ask it this way. If in Cayman, a Caymanian or something that is Cayman-centric or beneficial to the Cayman Islands isn't given preference and priority, I wonder where we think that will happen. If not in Cayman, and we're not looking for the interests of our people and the betterment of our country, do we think it's going to happen elsewhere?
Well, I can tell you what, if it ever happens in Cayman, you're going to hear about it. Because in my favor, what I'm talking about, right, is we're not going to speak about it until it happens to our children. You know, are we going to sit down and wait for it to happen, or are we going to just do something about it quick and fast, because it's concerning?
Right.
It's concerning. You know, what if a 5-year-old is involved, or a 6-year-old, or even a 3-year-old?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? We've always, heard, it's no point in closing the gate after the horse is bolted, and the cow cry over spilled milk, and all those things, right?
Yeah.
But if Cayman is sufficiently small enough, according to many experts, and the physical size, the size of the population, our solutions should be identifiable. Our problems, should be identifiable.
Thank you.
And we keep ignoring these things. I would imagine it's like going to the doctor, or even ignoring going to the doctor, but even going to the doctor, and she says to you, you need to look after this thing, prescribes a course of treatment, and you don't follow the advice, and it festers and it becomes worse, and then it gets to a stage where it's very little, if any, that can be done to make it better. Is that what's happening in our country, that we are not willing to even look to see what's happening, but when we do, and we know that this could probably be a reasonable attempt at making a meaningful solution, or we don't even want to do that?
Well, Mrs. Sterling, do you think that if you're going out to dinner and you're with your wife and your children, and if your wife says something or your child says something, would you just sit down and make it slide? If they said something alarming, that's the question, because our authority as a man is to defend our people, our women and men and children.
Yeah.
We cannot forget about all three, because it's only two genders, and it's either an adult or a child.
Yeah.
And if we forget about that, I'm pretty sure we're going to care about the horses that running into Calvary before we forget about the people that is riding them. I don't know if that analogy makes any sense to you, but it makes a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people like Vladimir Putin would sit down and allow world population to be diminished by somebody's ideology or idiocracy, whichever one.
Sometimes the word's almost synonymous, huh?
I just learning how to talk a little bit more calmer, because apparently speech is becoming a rant if you have a spirit for it. But I'm slowly learning how this island operating right now, and it's not going good. Not in my eyes, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people seeing it as well. Yeah.
It is one of those things where maybe if we appreciate that we are in a democracy and that we understand it's incumbent upon us to exercise our voice and that freedom of expression. I've always believed that we have to be responsible and respectful when we share, but we can't be so coward and afraid of our shadows that we refuse, to speak. Thanks very much, man. Let's talk to you again some more, all right? With that, let's pause. When we come back, it is open line as we invite you to call and share your thoughts, so stay tuned.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Here's a CUC storm tip. Avoid standing or playing in water near power lines after a storm. Nearby downed power lines could be energized and could cause serious injury or death. With CUC, you've got the power.
No, man. I'm tired of seeing a new charge on my phone bill every month.
You are always complaining about that bill. I think it's time you make that switch to Digicel.
I've been with my network for more than a decade. I don't know if I want to move over now.
Well, better later than never. When you switch to Digicel, you get better speeds, more data, and simply more value. Best of all, no dishonest practices. What they say is what you get. Make that switch today and get 50% off your first 2 months.
50% off my first 2 months? Mary, you're convincing me now. Okay, I'll visit a Digicel store near me.
Experience the bigger, better network. Switch your postpaid number to Digicel for 50% off your first 2 months or get a free 30-day Prime bundle for prepaid customers. Make the switch today.
Honey, did you get your Benzorama ticket yet?
Benzorama what?
The Lions Club Benzorama fundraiser. You could win a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
What? I have always wanted a Mercedes. What kind of Benz?
A brand new sparkling 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Tickets are $25 for 1, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. And you're helping to support the many Lions Club of Grand Cayman causes.
Driving in my new Benz and feeling good about helping the community.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser. Your chance to win a 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available from Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
In order to facilitate pipeline improvement works, Water Authority Cayman would like to inform the public that vehicular traffic will be reduced to 1 lane on Marina Drive from the intersection of Domino Street to the intersection of Rosemary Street on Sunday, August 6th from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity, and motorists, you're asked to avoid the area where possible. For those motorists who are not able to avoid the area, they are asked to proceed with caution to ensure their safety as well as that of the authority's staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of the motoring public and apologizes for any inconvenience these works may cause.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. It is Open Line as we go straight to the phones. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Hey, how are you today? How are you?
Man, fantastic.
Do
you know, it is such a pleasure. I like to tell people sometimes it is such a pleasure to be able to speak English. You know, I speak different. I mean, I can speak, different Spanish and different things. But
Hmm.
it is pleasure. But, also I would like to say that we cannot, I said it before and I said it again and again and again. We have got to stop saying this thing on the radio about foreigners. We have to WWW. And you know what I call WWW? Work with the world. Work with the world. Work with the world. You have a little shop. You got a little shop. You welcome. That's what the sign over the waterfront said. Welcome to the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
You welcome the people and stop saying, who are we talking about this? Who are we talking about? Which foreigners? We can't do that. We cannot do that. We have to work with the world. You got a small little grocery shop. You welcome everyone. You have your islands. You welcome the people. And when you do that, you have a lot of business. You have so much business, you would be surprised to know how much business you would have. You know what I'm saying? But when you try, you're doing it wrong. It's when you do it like that, that's the wrong way to do it. And saying things about foreigners, you cannot do that. That's the wrong way to do it. That's not leadership. It's actually, I could probably, maybe it could be misleadership, not leadership, misleadership. Because, who are we talking about? I wouldn't even want to say.
Mm-hmm. I like the fact, though, that you're sharing, that we should look to integration and unification. Let's build unity. Let's foster love and compassion and, care for each other, right?
And not only that, what I would like to say too, I think we should sort of remodel this radio station and, promote or speak about more things that makes money, make money. That's what we need to grow the economy, to make money. It's not politics, I'm not speaking politics. It's just reality.
Okay.
We have got to speak life, speak money, and there will be money. But you're speaking nonsense and speaking against what foreigners, which country, you cannot say that.
Right. If you would let me, if you're okay, I mean, you reference, we should do certain things that would help us to increase the money we make. Any suggestions you have that you would be willing to share as to what we could do?
Oh, of course. I can give one example for one example of how what we can do. We can in relation to it's not even politics, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, people on the radio speaking about ganja. Okay, you want to smoke? Well, maybe, who knows? The government might in the future give you a permit or a license, and maybe you pay $500 for the year to smoke your little ganja, and you got that license. You got, who knows, maybe 20,000 people in Cayman. Who knows? We don't know how many smokers there are.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for the government.
Uh-huh.
You get a license, another license where you can sell a certain amount of probably you carry maybe say $200 worth of ganja or something. You sell that in your little $5 portions, whatever it is. I mean, it's just knowledge. I don't mess with none of that. I don't do illegal stuff. But it's just knowledge. You learn.
Right. Well, there are probably suggestions. The license may be something, but specific as you reference for us to the Radio Cayman, anything that you have that we can increase, our revenue, how much money we're earning and making. Anything specific?
It's a lot of things. We can grow, I am telling you. But, as I said before, when you see a man trying to build, if you try to stop the man, then what happens is nothing is built.
Mm.
Like I said, it's not politics. I don't have an interest in that. I'm not interested. Because, I believe in the country. I believe in building, nation building, building dollars. I admire people, all these people in these countries that build, they make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I look up to them. I have to. I cannot, I have.
Right. Well, I appreciate you calling, right? So just, I gather there are no other calls in the queue just yet, right? So if you have a minute as we go into our news, let me ask of you, as you've taken time to share, and you reference, as many would agree, money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. We say money talks, right? To your mind right now, is money the only measure that we use when it comes to deciding how successful we are? Is money the only measure we use in determining, our standard of living, our quality of life? I mean, what's your view relative to money? The more money you have, the better you are. Is that your perspective?
Like I said, to be able to read a stop sign, I'm grateful that I can read a stop sign. I'm grateful that I can speak more than one language. And that is an asset also. You can communicate. It's very important. Your education, your finances, your different things.
Right.
We can make. I am sure that we can generate some serious dollars. Just don't stop the man. Just don't do it. Just look around. You see people trying to make money or trying to get somewhere. If you try to stop that man, nothing will be done.
But
they said that in order for the other man to prevail, you try to stop the man from doing something good, then guess what happens? So we have the WWW, work with the world, work with the foreigners. They are like our brothers. They are like our sisters. We have to work with them. And it's such a pleasure meeting so many nice people. They gave me some opportunities in life.
Yeah, man.
Caymanians, foreigners, and so we got to do it the right way. We can't just we want to succeed. We want success. So we have to. Like I said, you have a grocery store, you welcome, of course, different nations, different people. And you have your country, you welcome the people, and you treat them well, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows. We can see that,
Yeah, man.
So,
well, I really appreciate you sharing it. And maybe as we listen to some of the things, maybe we'll also take away the importance of, as you're saying, working with each other, valuing, respecting our differences, finding ways to come together. Look at the Cayman context. I don't know how many of us appreciate it, how many of us actually take it for granted, but we go into our supermarkets. The offerings, are amazing. If you travel to other places that are supposed to first world nations, you can't get some of the selections that we have here. And have we become so accustomed to those things that when we ask the grocer, hey, what do you mean you don't have this thing? As difficult as it is to source, we've come accustomed to having it on our shelves, right? So you're right, my friend. Hey, thank you for sharing. Any quick final thoughts?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm like one of the wrestlers used to say, I'm getting pumped up,
Well, you take care of yourself, all right? You take care of your mind, you take care of your body, you take care of your spirit, man. Take good care of yourself. Talk to you soon, all right?
Okay.
Good, sir. All right, let's go to the news, and when we come back, we continue our calls. Please stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Police make an arrest in connection with the suspected arson at the Northside Police Station. Officers yesterday arresting a 55-year-old Northside man. The fire took place early Monday morning. The suspect is in custody as the investigation continues. Now, police are looking for additional information. You can call the Buddentown Police Station at 947-2220 if you have information. If you'd like to remain anonymous, you can call the police on their confidential tip line at 949-7777 or on their website at rcips.ky. In international headlines, Hyundai and Kia are telling owners of nearly 92,000 vehicles in the U.S. to park them outside because an electronic controller in an oil pump can overheat and cause fires. The affiliated Korean automakers are recalling the vehicles and are also telling owners to park them away from structures until repairs are made. The recalls cover certain 2023 and 2024 Hyundai Palisades, as well as some 2023 Tucson, Sonata, Elantra, and Kona vehicles. Affected Kias involve the 2023 Soul and Sportage, as well as some 2023 and 2024 Seltos vehicles. Nintendo reports a 52% increase in net profit for the first fiscal quarter today, following the success of its Super Mario movie and the new Zelda video game. Demand was strong for Nintendo Switch game software, which received a boost from the release earlier this year of the film about the jumping plumber called the Super Mario Bros. Movie, this according to Nintendo Co. The film has so far drawn more than 168 million people globally, grossing $1.3 billion. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Honey, did you get your Benzorama ticket yet?
Benzorama what?
The Lions Club Benzorama fundraiser. You could win a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
What? I have always wanted a Mercedes. What kind of Benz?
A brand new sparkling 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Tickets are $25 for one, $3 for $65, or $5 for $100. And you're helping to support the many Lions Club of Grand Cayman causes.
Driving in my new Benz and feeling good about helping the community.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser. Your chance to win a 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available from Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, include site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And as we're on the downside of 2 o'clock with 26 minutes or so left, let's take every call. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon. Hey, there you are. How are you, man? Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I made it, man.
Yeah, you making it right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, listening to that show yesterday. That was wicked.
The callers were very, very engaged. Still getting some excellent, feedback. So it's important about, giving that opportunity for people to share.
Yeah, the history about the prison and all that was intriguing. And how the prison is kept up and how the prison is does. Make you think a lot about where the money going. Sam the Thousand. That don't sound like Sam the Thousand for one person every year. That don't sound like that.
Could be more, huh?
Yeah. So let's just give them some thunder without the lightning. 1 minute.
Yeah, man.
So, Mr. Dwayne, let's say it together, right? All right. That's a ganja smoker. Let's say that like that. All right. Right. That sounds negative, not true. Now let's just legalize it in our own heads now, right? And say that person that is a ganja smoker, let's say he's making money and being productive in the economy and the social life and all that, right? Let's reverse how we said that just now. Let's say, all right, what your job is? Boy, I'm a ganja smoker, or I'm a ganja trafficker, I'm a ganja importer. Let's just say that like that, right? And you'll understand why the thing is about keeping us down or keeping it illegal is that they don't want somebody, right, that can come up and be in their class. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't want to have it to say, like, oh, that's my job. That can be your job. Because now you lost power in keeping who can get a job and who can't get a job. Because remember now, some jobs you have to take a urine test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what my urine have to do with the job. But you can almost see that I have to almost piss my way into the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So, this whole thing about the smell or, you know, what about keeping it away from children or anything like that, that's a whole big lie. You drive across West Bay Road and you smell them septic tanks or whatever that smell is coming from, wherever the road or even south, when the CV not there, you can smell something stink on that road out there. So, plus probably you behind a truck, a diesel truck, you smell all that. You're gonna tell me the one thing you can smell at all that is the ganja burning. That's a lie. That's a big lie. So this notion, right? If I was to say, "Oh, Mr. Dwayne, you're a ganja smoker," like that, now you would be negative. But if I say, "Oh, Mr. Dwayne, yeah, I'm a ganja smoker," and we all made that positive, we would probably accomplish more in our life in what we did in these last couple of years. Because check it out, we just basically put everybody that is making their own mind up.
Mm-hmm.
We put all them at their freedom at risk. Check it out.
You are right. I mean, it's not just semantics; it's intonation. You know, sometimes we communicate so much, and not just what we say, but as you shared, the way we say it. You know, it is perhaps an interesting time, but maybe we need to be ever more conscious of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and the sort of ulterior motives for doing it.
Right, there's an ulterior motive for keeping the ganja illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you could say that, yeah, we are actually doing something prosperous with keeping the ganja illegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have to show me what is prosperous in denying somebody the freedom of publicity. They made their own, like say, they grow their own ganja, made their own money, and got out of here. You understand? Or made their own way to another land without having to go through and jump through the hoops of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, if you was to say, is it something prosperous in that, right? You would really have to show me. But the negatives, we can see and talk about the negatives all day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't even have to give you such an example as to say the dog would smell the ganja quicker than the cocaine or the gun or the big pile of money. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
If you was to have that port here, you would have, if that port was built here already, you would have had meth and all kind of stuff here, right? Because those big boats and those big things like this, they have so much space and so much little corners that you can fit like 100 pounds of dangerous drugs. You understand? And you would never know.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, man, it's I don't know. I'm looking increasingly at some of the things that are being reported in the supposedly established, respected media, and I'm wondering to what extent is any meaningfulness to it. And as you're alluding to, how much of what is happening do we consider the impact on the ubiquitous man in the street? So it's going to be interesting to question in a few years, where we are. We do have a WhatsApp call coming in as well. So before we take that, what's on your, what else you want to share? So we'll go to the WhatsApp call in a second. We got one coming in, but anything else finally you want to share with us?
Yeah, it's just this last thing. If we can please get this out of our head that is only ganja we supposed to burn out or we supposed to be looking for, or that is the only criminal around here, or that is the cause of all the problems. So remember now they say that we lazy, but then we say that they be the cause of the problem. So I must be doing something.
Yeah.
Right? You can't call me lazy if I'm the problem.
Yeah.
I am doing something if I'm making a problem, not true. So your whole hypothesis of keeping us illegal and down is that's all a lie, you understand?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes
but
too.
Say just putting your nose up in the air too much, that's just too bad for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes we play into that mindset of others. They give us a label and we just, play into it, right? I appreciate what you're sharing, man. It gives us much to think of, all right?
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You're most welcome, and you do the same. With that, let's just pause quickly, take this break, and then take the calls. Stay tuned.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Grand Cayman, get ready as Roma United Sports Club, Jake and Money, and Kingston 62 present the official Jamaica Independence Celebration. Friday, August 4 at the Lion Center, featuring live from Jamaica, Tess and Chin, alongside the 5th Division Band. Also, Leroy Evans, Terry Williams, and Cayman's best dancers. Lots of prizes and giveaways. Kids talent contest, best dress competition, and much more. Held fair from 5 to 9 p.m. Get your PSA, diabetes, and blood pressure check for free. It's Jamaica Independence Celebration. Friday, August 4 at the Lion Center. Sponsored by Best Dressed Chicken, Popeyes, Digicel, Royal Medical, Kmart, Cost You Less, Radio Cayman, Breeze FM, Cayman Airways, iCool Air Conditioning, and Cayman Hair and Beauty Supply.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And about 2:15 hour, let's take this call. Welcome, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon, welcome.
Yeah, all right. You know, I like what I'm hearing about this plantation thing, you know. No. All jokes aside with that, though, because it's really nice. I love it, right? The thing is about it now, what we're going to use the plants for. You know, I like the idea of recreational purposes, and not everybody would condone the smoking part, right? I understand that, We also have a lot of other beneficial ways that we can use marijuana to be in a little bit more of an appropriate manner for some people. You know, not everybody scratches their back with their hand. We can bake marijuana. You can use marijuana for butter. You can use marijuana for candies. Let's just say certain dosages is good for your nerves. And I just think that in the wider spectrum where World Health Organization could be beneficial to the market and whatever they want to do, it should be legalized for recreational purposes. Recreational doesn't necessarily mean you're going to smoke it all the time. I would like to see a diversity in things, you know.
Yeah.
Medication can become cough syrups.
If I might ask, and forgive me, I have not as yet done an extensive reading about it, right? So just generally speaking, understanding that there are some purported medicinal benefits. We're seeing potential industrial uses in construction, in textile, in foods, and the like. But if I might, and as a country, the tourism minister, Mr. Bryan, had up some signs at some point about, you know, a referendum and the question. So the government was discussing that at some point, given that that is a growing topic on the minds.
I would like to say that would be great if we could cooperate with each other. More in a communication style. I understand they want to have this referendum for the decriminalization, but it still does not explain to us how are we going to get access to marijuana. And they don't want to talk about it. So then if it's a very uncomfortable subject, I think that they should have the people that are comfortable talking about it talk. Because I don't expect if one party don't agree with it and then the other party agree with it. I don't expect to hear from the ones that don't agree. I'm telling you that straight up. I mean, it's not a disrespectful way, but really and truly, they are not willing to cooperate because they do not see the future. Now, I understand we're supposed to be thinking about the future, but are we forgetting the past?
Right. And as I listen to you, I'm inclined to recall, again, just on a cursory level, what I understood the U.S. state of California did some time ago when they had a policy, you know, towards Tobacco 21. They set about a very strong, robust educational program about, you know, smoking tobacco, cigarettes, and the like. They, in addition to the education, they put in place significant, you know, policies and programs. As a consequence for what they've published, they not only saw a significant reduction in smoking, delayed age when people started to smoke. They had a measured reduction in the cost of healthcare as a result of that, increased productivity and attendance at work, significant benefits, but it was, I believe, attributed to their, you know, very, very robust and proactive educational program about what they were trying to achieve. If that is the case, as we gather, you know, good education information that is timely and accurate and objective, maybe we need to do the same with ganja to say, as you just shared, you know, if we do proceed, is it that we legalize it as opposed to decriminalizing it, and what's the difference and importance? How do we source it? Yes, now it's available to you, but how do you get it? Do we look at it as a revenue source for the government? And if so, to what extent? What age are we able to legally, you know, access and consume it? So I think you made some excellent points, right?
Yes, sir. And I am in full support of the drive, really and truly. I believe in it, Mr. Sterling. I believe in the culture of the marijuana society. I mean, I believe that one of these days I could be able to just bring a little cassava cake that I would like to make up. And then you wouldn't even know what's going on. But I'm not going to do that. I would like to say, hey, sir, I got a product that I would like to introduce to you. It's made with marijuana. It's not bad for your health. We already gauged it out, tested it ourselves, and say that, hey, if you feel anything, let me know what you think.
Right. But can I, and that's good, I think we should do that. If I might, if you would allow me, we should do that when it comes to the foods we consume. We let people know the ingredients, right? So with that in mind, let's take food allergies, whether it's to shellfish, whether it's to nuts or something else, right? People may be deathly allergic. It may just be an intolerance, right? But it still, affects them in a negative way. So, two things. Some of us will go to a restaurant, and the servers, the people at the restaurant are absolutely fantastic. Not only do they ask, any preferences, any religious sort of considerations, any food allergies, and they, not just for liability, but for your enjoyment and safety, they make sure that you understand. Now, there are other times when you ask, well, is that made with this? Does it have this? The response is not very helpful, not very professional, not excellent consumer service, right? But take the inclusion of, say, alcohol. You're making a chocolate dessert, and you infused it with a liqueur, for instance, right?
I have a familiar face with that.
Right. I'm told by alcoholics, whether they're 25 or 50 years sober, or whether this is, they're 5 weeks or 5 months, that potentially they want to be conscious not to consume that thing, even if there's an artificial alcohol flavor. As I understand it, there's a concern that could, encourage them now to want, not because they can get drunk, but because of the taste, they may want to actually now consume an alcoholic beverage, right? So it's good that, hey, I just gave you some ice cream, but you didn't tell them it was made with alcohol, or that you floated some alcoholic liqueur or...
That would be pretty bad if it did that, right?
Right, but it happens, right? I mean, it has happened, and I'm not saying that to be inflammatory. I'm saying that with absolute accuracy. I've seen that happen, right? But what about I don't know what the word is. I was trying to think of, you make those brownies and those gummies, and look at the west coast of the U.S., and they've been taken into schools here. People can buy the edibles. Is that the word? Right?
Yeah.
And it may or may not affect a person in a deathly way. It may not be fatal, but just like the nut allergy or the reason for not having alcohol in a drink, or it may be religion, or it may just be a personal preference, right?
Yeah.
Are we sufficiently responsible? Are we so malicious that we will knowingly put this thing in this brownie or in this cake and give it to somebody? I mean, let's go, if you allow me one more second, let's go further afield. Remember, reported in our news media internationally, that some teacher and her police officer, spouse or partner, that made certain food items and took it into her kindergarten class and fed the children when it was laced with bodily fluids, put it that way. I mean, some people are just evil.
Condone that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man, no, I'm just...
No, let's put it into this perspective, right? When you go to a coffee shop, if you go to Starbucks, for example, and you have your, let's just say, I don't know how old your kid is, but say he was 10 years old, and decide he wants to drink coffee, would you allow him to order a cup of coffee?
Well, see, that's another... See, to me, caffeine is a drug, right? Yeah, and there are probably some of us of the age where we were told as a child you couldn't drink coffee. It was for adults. We might even been told it would stunt your growth or some other negative impact, right? But yet, how many of us as parents take our 12-year-old or high school student and stop and get them, a double espresso or whatever it is, right? And we say it's okay. That may not be okay in other households, but I don't think it's illegal to give your child a caffeinated beverage.
And I agree.
Yeah, maybe it should be, but maybe it should also be illegal to allow them to consume, all this sugar in some of these sodas that we give them. 1 gallon serving of soda Here's a big straw.
We might ruffle a few feathers up today then. I started to say, so I love my caffeine, and I'm pretty sure I started drinking that from I was like about, boy, I can start talking.
And as you said, you're 6 foot plus, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't stunt your growth. But the New York mayor or governor some years ago, I don't know if it passed. I really don't recall. I tell you, anything since 2020 seemed like
alienated.
Yeah, but he had proposed some sort of tax on those soda drinks from the fast food places, and I think a restriction on the servings and the like. Now, I've heard many physicians share that sugar, refined sugar, is as addictive or more addictive than crack cocaine. But how many of us just consume sugar like we're taking a breath of air?
I believe that we all forget about how bad sugar and other stuff could be, like starch.
Yeah.
We talk about high blood pressure and we talk the salt, and then we don't like the people that don't use salt because they don't make the food taste great anymore. And then it's all going to be all things to say. And like I said, I think that we all should just be sticking to what we like, and I don't think that we should be trumping each other what we can and cannot do. And I believe that this is a time in life that where we are living now, that we could be able to speak up for what we believe in, and then we should be respected.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate for you sharing.
I don't have problems with anybody, and I'm not here telling nobody how to live.
Right.
But I don't want anybody telling me how to live neither.
Exactly. Hey, thanks for sharing. I appreciate you, giving us your perspective. And God's willing, maybe we can talk to you tomorrow or the next day, as you wish. Have a safe and enjoyable afternoon, all right?
Thank you. Enjoy.
All right, thank you. Take care. And to the caller, as I listen, perhaps there's an increasing call for greater education, for better understanding, for more information in a timely, accurate way before we set about doing something or maintaining the status quo, or even imposing greater restrictions on a personal level when it comes to ganja. Just defining whether it's going to be legalized or decriminalized. What's the difference? Is it anything significant? What does it mean? What would be the consequence? We certainly have had the discussions yesterday and some today that should cause us to question what we're doing in a society that leads to imprisoning many of our people. Is that cost $70,000 per person, or is it more? And irrespective of the cost, what is the negative consequence of so doing? It's not about getting value for money. Is it about ensuring that society has people who are deterred from criminal behavior, who, so to speak, learn our lessons from our transgressions, who are sufficiently reintegrated and welcome, and again become, in our words, valuable, positive, contributing members of our society? Or is it that we believe that we point fingers and castigate people because of their education, their ethnicity, their economic class, or some other thing that make them look different from our perspective? But at the end of the day, are we not all more alike than we are different? Are we not all in a sense equal? Or is it, as Orwell said, all men are created equal, just as some are more equal than others? Well, at the end of the day, it's about courage, it's about compassion, it's about a sense of civility, it's about a sense even greater of appreciating that, as Mr. Art has always reminded us, we are our brother's keeper. And I have a very good friend, and that we are friends today because of the kindness that he extended to me a very, very long time ago. I'm on my way home from work, having played what I thought was a great game the night before, sustained a very unfortunate and malicious tackle by the opponent simply because he was losing with that level of stupidity, because you're not playing the ball, you're playing the man. And I get a flat on my way home, can't change the tire. This fellow drives the distance up, there are no roundabouts then, and as soon as he could maneuver, he made the U-turn, he returned, and he helped me change the tire. He could have done like so many. Didn't realize you were in need, or somewhere else to stop. he stopped. That's the kindness that we have. That's the thing that we are sort of known for. That's the ethos and the ethic that's inculcated in the Caymanian spirit. And it's something that we should share and celebrate and ensure is respected and valued. But oftentimes, we allow ourselves to be relegated to the margin. We allow those to denigrate, disrespect, degrade, and otherwise divide us simply because, we believe that because, we're quiet, somehow we're unheard. Because we're kind, it means that we're weak. Well, my mom always says, "Dap in the hole to frighten." So you keep pushing, you might find people push back. But the pushback has to be in a way that is considered and concerted, not just a measured, reasonable response. It's one that is informative and instructive. Well, taking up Mr. Art's mantle, would you kindly join me tomorrow morning? We'll be hosting the For the Record. We are told, I shouldn't say it just yet, but you have to tune in. Dr. Steve will be our guest. We're hoping to maybe have a very high-ranking, political member join us as well. But you won't know until you join us tomorrow if that happens or not. So I'll be hosting the show. God's willing, I'll be back again for Talk Today after the midday news. Hope you'll be a part of it. Enjoy your afternoon. If you could do a favor for me, call Miss Susan 949-6990. Request a song by Rod Stewart. Yeah, let's hear some Rod Stewart this afternoon. I got a song in mind. Hey, Radio Cayman plays the best music because they play all kinds. So whether you get to hear her in the morning when she's doing the praise and worship, whether you hear her on a Saturday afternoon with country classics, or whether you just listen to JJ at night, between 7 and 8 and all the local flavor, or whether you get to hear all the good stuff. Friday nights, there's some good calypso. Ay. Until tomorrow, my good people, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.